Sharma ji. Yeah.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Raman Sharma. I'm a senior scientist at CSIR National Environmental Engineering Research Institute, and I'm basically based in Delhi at Narayana Industrial area. We have a dedicated NEERI office here. Basically, we are a Nagpur-based organization, but we do have a presence here at Delhi. So, depending upon this theme of this today's session, which is about non-revenue water, I have taken up the challenges of reducing non-revenue water in the developing countries. So why I have taken this topic? We are in constant touch with the Delhi Jal Board, Irrigation and Flood Control Department, and other agencies who are into this business of providing drinking water to the masses. And if you ask them about the non-revenue water, many of the technician or engineer who are associated with this business, they have no clue about associated with it. So the first thing that comes to our mind that we need to educate people that what actually that NRW stands for. So that's why I have taken up this topic of challenges. What are the challenges present in front of us and how we can address this issue? So basically, this water utilities, they are facing major challenges due to high level of non-revenue water. And the basic introduction has already been given by the session chairperson also, but still I will little bit touch upon this thing. This non-revenue water is the water produced. Take the example of Delhi Jal Board, the water they transmit for the distribution, and whatever water is being delivered, the difference of that is going to be the non-revenue water. In Delhi, it's a big problem. We have a big pipes. Whenever we pass through, let's say, Ring Road, we say people have just drilled small holes into the pipes, and because they do not have the access to clean drinking water, they just try to take away water from that, because water is very basic thing. It's shameful for us that we are incapable of providing that water. But the big problem with that puncturing of pipes is that when the water pressure inside those pipes reduces, the sewage water, if that's there in the vicinity of that pipe, ultimately percolates down into the water distribution system erected by the Delhi Jal Board. And after every 15 days or something like that, I lives in Rajouri Garden, we came across that sewage water is ultimately reaching us. When you put a complaint into the authority, they would say that, no, we are sending the clean water. But that kind of things or issues we are facing here in National Capital Region, and that's something we need to really account for. So in general, non-revenue water can be categorized into two losses, physical as well as commercial, already have been mentioned. Physical would be consisting of leakage from transmission, of which I was talking just now, and distribution mains, reservoir, storage tank, and service connection to the customer meter. And by the way, you know that what's the current regime of billing here at Delhi, that I am living here in Delhi last 2.5 years, and probably only for 3 months I have paid my water bill, and you must be knowing about what I'm talking about. And also we have commercial losses. It means that water is delivered to customers, but not invoiced, which is currently happening in Delhi. Inaccurate meter reading and water theft are examples of commercial losses of water utility. So overall, a high level of non-revenue water damage the financial sustainability of water utility because it leads to increased operating expenditure and lost income. This picture has already been shown to you before my presentation, so I'm just gonna skip this part. So look into this picture of this non-revenue water in India. It's more of a political gimmick here. And many of the tough decisions which are supposed to be taken by our guiding authority, they are incapable of taking those tough decisions because of various political reasons. For example, you see, in developing countries such as India, non-revenue water is associated with aging infrastructure, we agree, apparent losses, and corruption. It is argued that poor management capacity and weak institutional augment the losses for the water utility in these countries. Reducing NRW requires skilled staff. I strongly agree with this, such as engineers and crew of plumbers, as well as manager with autonomy and decision-making ability. Often the decision that needs to be made are politically unfavored. All of us must agree with that, such as disconnecting unauthorized connection in urban slums, which in India form a critical vote banks. Moreover, it is argued that water utilities are particularly prone to corruption and the political manipulation, the way we might have came across many news of tanker mafia operating here at Delhi also. God knows from where they are getting those water, the potable water, and ultimately being supplied to the customer. That could be one of the substantial component that the water is getting lost from the distribution system. So first of all, we need to account that how much is the loss and what is the cost associated with it. So this data I have taken from the World Bank report. It says that in the developing countries, close to 26.7 billion cubic meter per year, water is getting lost. And if you put this quantity into term of cost, you would say that this developing country, there is 5.80 billion US dollar per year amount of money is getting wasted. So that is the quantum of water wastage, a very, very essential commodity wasted, and the associated cost which we are putting into it to make it potable in that sense. So that is a big, big losses which we are facing. We are in the brink of very, very water sensitive state, and days are not far away when we will be water deprived in the metropolitan cities like Delhi. So let us understand what are the biggest challenges. They are very, very simple. All of us must be knowing that these are the challenges, but we need to educate masses or the policymakers. First of all, not understanding the problem. I think if you just go to the water business people, especially the people who are making policy, at many levels we have found that there is a basic lack of understanding about this NRW. They said, okay, our first priority is just to make the potable water available. We will talk about the NRW later on. That's a kind of a priority over there. So not understanding the magnitude, source, and cost of NRW is one of the main reasons, I believe, for the insufficient NRW reduction efforts all across the world, also in India. Only by quantifying NRW, I would suggest that, first of all, whosoever agency, be it a private or the public sector undertaking, who are taking this into this, they just need to make a, first of all, water budget. Once they make that water budget, only then they can say that हमने इतना पानी दिया था, इतने पानी का bill आया, बाकी का कहाँ से? Who is going to sustain that particular thing? The way we do that energy balance or the mass balance, the same way we have to do the water balance. Take the example of Delhi Jal Board. They are saying that we are sending, for example, 100 liters of water. How much money they are investing into making that 100-liter water a potable one, and how much cost they are recovering into that. So that kind of a thing we all need to understand and do the quantification in that sense. In developing countries, it's very rare that a comprehensive water balance is actually developed and calculated. And I believe this is one of the prominent reasons that the end result often fail to match the expectations. So that's the first challenge. Second is the lack of capacity. The non-revenue water management require a range of skilled staff, including manager, professional engineers at one end of the spectrum, right through the street crew, technicians, plumber at the other. So this NRW reduction is not taught at the university. I have never came across, I have been to many, many different universities, never came across any professor teaching me about this non-revenue water and what kind of the issues associated and the cost associated. If we are so much into this thing and the days are not far away when we actually have to think about this non-revenue water and the losses which are happening because of it, we need to sensitize our young generation who is ultimately going to enter into this business of running this water utility business. So that is something which I believe is very important. And there is a need to develop appropriate training material, methods, and institution to the people who have already entered into these institutions. That's the kind of a thing we can propose. And the third challenge is missing management focus. So I have divided this into this physical loss reduction and commercial loss reduction. Why, based upon these things, we are failing? If you just say that, let's look into the physical loss reduction. If you say politician, this particular non-revenue water thing is a non-ribbon cutting involved. It's not a ribbon is there, it's not flashy, that's not something which is gonna give them votes. For engineers, it's more fun to design treatment plants than to fix pipes buried under the road. And for technician and field staff, detection is done primarily at the night and pipe repair often require working in hazardous and traffic condition, which makes them very, very difficult to rectify these problems. And when it comes to managerial level, it needs time, constant dedication, staff, and upfront funding is required for this thing. On the other hand, if you look into the commercial loss reduction, for politicians, it would be very, very unpopular decision to disconnect the connection into their particular area where they are representing MLA or MP, something like that. Meter readers and fraudulent practices might generate a substantial additional or maybe less income depending upon what is the condition of those meters being taken by the staff. And also the field staff working on detecting illegal connection or suspending service for those who do not pay their bills. And the same is applicable for the manager. So I would like to over here mention that why here, depending upon different level where you are, and ultimately we are failing into this particular management of non-revenue water. The fourth challenge, which I believe is the importance of enabling environment and the incentives. And always there is a debate going on in between the government sector and the private sector, and people have the habit of saying that the private sector always outperform the government sector. I will not go into that particular detail in that, but still, if you look into the case studies, we have come across that this private sector have incentives to reduce the NRW because it can generate more revenue for that sector and reduce operating costs. And government sector also have to look into this perspective also of non-revenue water reduction. I will not go into more detail about this thing, but still I believe that this particular thing plays a very, very important role when it comes to devising a policy for the reduction of the losses with respect to non-revenue water. So at the end, I would say that it is high time that at the university level, we must educate our young brigade who is ultimately going to enter into this water utility business so that appropriate policy decisions can be imparted by them. And private as well as public sector unit needs to sensitize for this issue, and accordingly measures can be devised for this non-revenue water losses. Thank you very much. I thank the organizer for inviting me for this talk, and I'm available for questions, whatever the curiosity, the question that you have. Thanks, everyone.